Welcome back, everybody, to the stream of Battle of the Best. Excuse my manners, I was not aware that we were back immediately. Our next series is Lothar versus DTwo. We have two more matches today, one in the winner's bracket round 2 with Lothar and DTwo, and then the winner of that versus Forsen, who's waiting in the winner's bracket finals. Well played so far to everybody, and we have now two guys who we have to continue to see their stories. Both of them have things to prove. DTwo, of course, trying to show that BlizzCon qualification wasn't just a fluke, and then Lothar is trying to justify, you know, the fact that he's gotten some invites in the past and that he does get some attention, even though his results haven't been stellar. But taking out StrifeCro is a great start. He won 3-0, and then DTwo, of course, taking out RDU. I feel like these guys certainly deserve to be in the conversation as some of the best players in their respective regions.
Yeah, I have to 100% agree with you, and this tournament especially. I think both of these players have fantastic lineups for this event. I think both of them have utilized the additional rule that we're seeing that's a little bit different from a ban format. So this is a format where, for those of you just joining us, this is a best-of-5 tournament with 4 decks each and 1 ban each. But the winner of the match can actually decide to swap to a deck that they have that's unlocked. So both of these players have utilized that to fantastic effect. Lothar actually 3-0'd StrifeCro. He used all 3 of his unbanned decks to do so, and then DTwo really lining up his decks as well, kind of going to the next level and maybe outthinking his opponents a little bit. So I think this is a format that really benefits people who have done their research and understand how these matchups are going to line up, and then can kind of go to the next level of that thought process to throw their opponent off guard.
Absolutely. Now look at their lineups. It's very similar, other than Druid being subbed out for the Warrior for Lothar. It's Ramp Druid too. It's pretty heavy. It's got Sunwalkers, Ancient of Wars, the whole works, so to speak, of taunts. And, well, it worked for him against Miracle Rogue, just barely. Maybe it can work out in this scenario for DTwo as well.
Yeah, I think the ramp is a good choice for this tournament. I still would have liked to see it be a more aggressive Druid, because in my mind, if you're replacing Warrior with Druid in this aspect, it's because you want to be able to have an edge against the Warrior deck. So a deck that's kind of tailored more towards aggression and Force of Nature combos, I think is going to do a little bit better versus Warrior, but there's still a ton of threats in this deck. If you don't see Black Knight drawn by Warrior, I think he's got some pretty good chances to win the game, but you know, Warrior can still very easily fend it off. It's got a lot of tools to deal with it. 2 copies to Execute, 2 copies to Shield Slam, Sylvanas, you know, they've got the works as well. So in that matchup, I think it's a lot more about dodging a well-timed Black Knight from the Warrior side, if you're the Ramp Druid in that matchup. But other than that, both of these guys, of course, their lineups are pretty much identical. Outside of that, they have the same similar style philosophy, and both of them have a lot of anti-weapon tech that's going along with it. It's part of the reason why I like their lineup.
Oozes, Harrison Jones, galore. Just pick your poison, essentially, for how you want to take out opponents' weapons. Right. Now, let's take a look at the lineups and see what do you think is the best thing to start off here. You know, with Hunters taking out a bunch of Hunters marks from their decks, all of a sudden, to face off against non-stop taunts from a Ramp Druid might be really difficult. As long as they shut down an early Undertaker, it feels like there's not a lot of ways for Hunter to get past. Really needs a lot of help from, like, Druid not being able to draw good whatsoever on curve. So maybe this Druid is a safe start for Lothar. What do you think?
That's a really good point that you make. I think one of the reasons that Druid was traditionally so bad against Hunter was because of big turns with Buzzard and Unleash, and that allowed them to draw enough cards that they could often find Hunter's Mark to disrupt your whole board. They don't have access to that anymore. Now what they're doing is they're focusing on this early game pressure that Undertaker allows them to leverage, using cards like Knife Juggler and some Iron Beak Owls at times to help push through damage. But that's really what their strong suit is. So Iron Beak Owl, you know, still in certain kinds of situations, serving a very similar function. Not quite as powerful as it was before, though, again, to be able to expend all the resources and then refill and kind of keep going from there. But
check this out,
Kel'Thuzad,
KT in the house.
Look at this. He actually keeps Healing Touch in his opening hand, too. And that Harrison Jones could be a really important draw if D2 picks up an Eagle Horn Bow. This is like what this guy was made to do, is trigger a trap with one of your guys and then draw 2 cards and blow up their weapon. It's like the mega big... It's a mega big swing turn. And I can't blame D2 for not mulliganing a card here. I think this hand's fantastic.
Yeah, you'd like to have Undertaker, but it's really easy to just disrupt everything else. Oh, he is playing
Look at that. He's got Hunter's Marks, though.
But only one. I mean, there's only so much you can do. And just like you said, the whole power of the Hunter's Mark was behind the Buzzard Unleashed draw engine, where you draw 3 cards and remove it with Hunter's Mark, and you wouldn't get too far behind.
Right.
But when Druid's able to fight up card advantage like this, where you're taking advantage of the fact that Hunter's Mark drains your resources. Maybe might not matter anymore.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. So turns are pretty straightforward here. Loot Hoarder instead of 2/1 drops. What do you think about that? He just wants to play on curve with his hero powers.
That's true.
Yeah.
And probably dig deeper into his deck. Like his hand's not looking that strong.
Yeah. The coin hero
this is really
power.
good for Lothar, right? The fact that how slow Hunters start.
Agreed. I think coin hero power isn't something you always expect from the Hunter's perspective. Obviously, it's always in their range and a possibility, but not always something that they're willing to do. Oh, and there's an Undertaker. That's going to be safe from Wrath too.
Wow. What a draw.
Just another reason to save both of these taunts in your hand, or save both of these death rattles in your hand. In the unlikely event something like this happens. He's going to take his time and think through it anyway, but I would jam everything down. I don't see a reason not to. Your opponent can't swipe you next turn. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a really strange line. I don't know why you would favor that over dropping Undertaker and then 2 death rattles. Because you're just in the same position, aren't you? Like, what if you draw another death rattle next turn too?
I mean, D2 was watching the games as well. So if he knows this is Ramp Druid, perhaps he feels like he has to hero power as much as possible.
Look at this, and Lothar chooses to use the Wrath. Those are 2 plays that I would definitely think that both these players shouldn't be doing, because, I mean, that doesn't really even gain that much, does it?
Wow. Well, it doesn't matter anymore, by the way.
The difference is 1 health. Like, does he really need to dig for anything? He's still got the Wrath in his hand, so he can pick apart anything his opponent's going to do. He does draw another death rattle, in fact. So this even would have been safe from swipe. Yeah, I mean, I don't see another play. I think last time you had an opportunity to really make a big play, and this turn you are fortunate enough to have the same opportunity. Except this time you've seen a Wrath come out of your opponent's hand. So, I mean, are you even worried about swipe? You still pick up a card from Web Spinner, Mad Scientist developed onto the board. You have Savannah Highmane coming soon. To a theater near you.
That's right. After we finish our Fortune documentary, though. Because that man deserves some screen time. Find out more about him. And more importantly, what he received from some text messages from Leah. This Undertaker is going to get a lot of buffs.
Look at this. He's not even going to play the Mad Scientist. He's really trying to get mileage out of that hero power.
Yeah.
I can't say I blame him for that, but I certainly would have played this game differently.
Keeper Art of the Grove. That was good, because before it looked like Lothar was just going to hero power down this 1/2. Or this, sorry, this 1/2, this 1/1.
Choose silence. Like, I definitely can't disagree with that. Picks up Sludge Belcher. Now that's going to help protect your board. I think that's definitely the drop.
Again, it makes sense that you're playing Sludge Belcher because you're banning your opponent's Warlock, so you expect the possibility of playing the Hunter Mirror.
Wow. And a second keeper picked up. I definitely would think he wants to save this keeper for Savannah Highmane if he can. Yeah, just going to drop his own Sludge Belcher. I'd actually like to see this keeper attack too.
When you have Savage Roar in hand, though, does that change any of your opinions?
Sort of, but he's not as focused on killing with combo, I think, as he is just having availability of it.
Sure.
I think Hunter's Mark was probably something that's on his radar. King Mukla. You don't see that guy every day.
Yeah. Druid's hand does tend to get clogged.
It's an easy way to get a gold Mukla, by the way. Just craft a golden Web Spinner.
Huh. I had it wrong all along.
Pretty big board here from D2.
Oh.
Savannah Highmane. Definitely proving its worth. And I'm not even sure silence is very good here.
What about using Savage Roar to clear off Sludge Belcher and just healing touch up?
Gosh, it's so brutal. I don't think it's
you
bad.
just got to do it if you want to remove it, and then.
Yeah.
But then your next turn, you're still looking at, like, how do you clear out this Highmane?
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems with the play that way is that he's not actually like developing his. Like, your opponent has such a big board edge that what you're doing doesn't really clear too much. He's going to go with that play, but There's not a lot of tension created on the board at this point, so this Savannah Hyman very likely to run away with the game here. The law of Hyman probably going to come into effect. I mean, he doesn't have much left, but that's certainly a lot of damage.
I mean, it's 12 damage because you most likely won't be able to stop what's coming out unless he picks up like an Ancient of War.
Because you got to drop Mukla this turn, right?
I assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, Mad Scientist is just inferior. And
well, I don't think he's going to drop the bow. I think he's going to drop the Scientist and Hero Power. Just sort of akin to like how his game plan has been the whole way. It's just consistent with what he's been doing. He's been getting a Hero Power at every turn.
Okay, fair enough.
You know, it's funny that that's happened too. He's gotten about 6 extra points of damage where I wouldn't have used it, I don't think.
Right. So Druid of the Claw can be a pseudo Ancient of War, like build your own in a sense.
6/8.
Is that his best chance to survive here?
I don't know. Because the bow is still going to help take care of that. He's just going to use the Mukla and the bow. Unless he draws something else, of course, like Iron Beak Owl. Oh, wow, he's going to charge it.
Okay.
So he's concerned, when he charges this, he's very concerned with something like a Silence. He's very concerned with it not being able to get just any sort of real value from it. But now Hyman's about to get in a second attack.
Third attack, actually.
Is this the third attack from Hyman?
Mm-hmm.
No. He played it on 6 and it's 7. This is going to be the second attack.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
He healed back originally up to it. You're correct.
Here's a question, though. Do you want to jam this Mad Scientist into this 6/1, or do you just want to just float the damage and hope for the best? He can also, I don't think there's a problem with expending his own life total. I like using the Mad Scientist because it starts thinning your deck, too. Important to make sure you don't draw those traps, and instead you get him out of the way with Mad Scientist instead.
Right. High main number 2.
Yeah, but how much is that extra damage worth?
Not sure. I like that D2 is also... I mean, I like that weaving in the hero power. His opponent would be at 16 if he wasn't insistent upon doing this every single turn.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also something to say that maybe Undertaker would be out of control by now.
Yeah, which it almost certainly would have been. This is still a big debate for him. I like the Mad Scientist in the 6/1. You know, as crazy as it is to think that you should go 2 damage to your opponent's face, there is some merit to thinking about it. Really want to know what that trap is too. I hope he hovers over it. And there's a freezing trap.
Oof. Ragnaros is not going to do it.
Yeah.
Where are all the taunts of Lothar?
Yeah, but he's just going to suicide.
Yes.
Yep, that's going to do it. Wow. Very well played from DTwo, getting a ton of mileage from his hero power. It just shows you, that's a really strong understanding of this matchup to see him do that over and over again, because I think against something like a mid-range druid, you might not see him do that as much. I think you would see him tend to favor board position, but he knows that Lothar is going to be a lot slower than usual. So I think that he's foregoing some of his development in order to, again, continue to use that hero power as often as he possibly can, and it really making a difference in that game. And it was, I mean, that was 10 damage. It's a third of your opponent's health. How much more can you ask for out of hero power?
Not really that much, honestly. And he knew his opponent had a healing touch, too, so he was starting to work on it very early and limit his opponent's options. Yep. Well done, and now Lothar will have to turn to something else. Now remember, D2 can switch, so he's not like he has to stick with Hunter and then pick into a bad position where Lothar can use Priest. It's pretty much up to D2 if he wants to stay here or swap out to Warrior, which Warrior against Priest and Hunter remaining for Lothar feels like a pretty natural fit, because the Warrior can hold its own against Priest in the late game, barring any ridiculous thought steals. And then, of course, against Hunter, the Warrior is really strong and effective against it, too.
Yep. I agree with you on all accounts. There's a lot of merit to not swapping here, too, I think, though.
Sure.
I think both ways work. Lothar, though, what does Lothar got to do?
Well, Lothar has to make sure to line up the correct matchup that best fits his game plan.
For sure.
Because D2 has Warrior, he has Hunter, and he has Priest.
Yeah.
I'd be really surprised if D2 chose to queue up Priest. because I don't like the Priest Mirror matchup personally. It feels like it can. In Priest Mirrors, it feels like you can get blown out really easily just by a turn 3 circle of healing with Injured Blade Master, and then you can't. You're just powerless.
I always thought that too, and every time I watch Gara, he wins every single Priest matchup.
Yeah, but Gara's like one of the very few Priest specialists in the entire game.
Yeah.
Like, he loves and dedicated himself to that class a while ago.
Yeah. Because it seems that his sequence is always different than mine. And then at the end of the game, he has 10 cards. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And 30 health, and you're like, oh,
I'm like,
okay.
Okay, that's
Makes a lot of sense.
Note to self: watch Gara a lot.
I do.
So
Yeah,
Lothar
I think D2
definitely
goes warrior here, right? Like, Priest doesn't make too much sense, and then staying on Hunter is reasonable. If you feel like, because his Hunter is well equipped to beat the mirror match. So,
well,
I feel like it
I agree and I disagree. I think that swapping to Priest here is totally fine because, you know, at the end of the day, a mirror match is not the worst thing in the world. If you're playing in a tournament like this and you're a high-level player, I assume you have to believe you have an edge over your opponent. So a Priest mirror match, I think, is totally fine. And then Priest is going to match up really well versus the Hunter. Where Warrior, like if he manages to take out the Priest, he has Warrior versus Hunter alone. Like he can corner it with that deck. So it really depends on what he thinks Lothar is going to do. This is where understanding your opponent and doing your homework and really tapping into their thought process makes all the difference.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I can't really think of an alternative of a lineup that you'd rather want.
D2 is currently thinking about swapping his lineup, by the way, so that is something that we are waiting for word on and anticipating.
Sure.
Yeah. Look at the iron stare of Lothar. If there's one person who's not going to crumble under the pressure, it's definitely him.
No, I make sure that whenever there's an after party, whatever event I go to, Lothar is with me, so he can defend me. Him or Artosis. I have a lot of funny stories.
He can battle the girls off you. Like, no, get away.
More like the other way around. I have to peel all the women off of Lothar. Yep. And they're like, no, I want to see Lothar. Back away, Maz. I want to see Lothar. It's like, no, I'm Frodan first of all. I want Lothar and Artosis as my two guys with me at the after party, because Artosis will take on anybody. Anybody. It doesn't matter. Like he got in a fight with the bouncer after Seat Story Cup at the club. Artosis did. The guy has 150 pounds on him easily.
Yeah.
And Artosis almost took him on.
And Frodan hit him with a chair in the back, and then they snuck their way in.
Yeah. And then Artosis did the tombstone pile driver.
Yeah, so D2 is switching decks. He is going to swap his lineup around. I can't say I disagree with him. I think you should go with Priest here. But Warrior, I think, is a fine choice as well, because a lot of people think that Priest does not match up very well versus Warrior, but then there's a ton of Warrior players who are like, they're split on decisions as well. Like I know Catz, he is very, very vocal about his opinion on it. A long time. This is a while back, of course, so I don't know how much it's changed. But he said, if a Warrior player is playing against a Priest player who doesn't play Warrior, then the Warrior has the advantage. But if the Priest is a Warrior player, then the Priest has the advantage. Just because the understanding of like how the matchup unfolds and what the Warrior's purpose is in that matchup and so on and so forth. I like his Priest swap though. That's what I would have gone with.
Interesting. Well, there's always room for opportunities for the Priest to just swing one way or the other. In fact, the last time I saw a Priest versus Priest was in the Americas qualifier where Strife Crow and Stunner, I believe. Was it Stunner from Australia? They were neck and neck, and Stunner was one game away from qualifying where he had an opportunity to set up a 2-turn lethal. But unfortunately, he just didn't spot it. Or he spotted it and he didn't want to take the chance for it.
It was a tough one to go for, I think.
Sure.
I mean, I would definitely would have made the press for it, but I'm very aggressive with my play. These hands, by the way, look at this. D2 wants to keep Black Knight in this matchup. What do you think of that? I think that's very, very unconventional.
I guess he just wants to make sure Sludge Belcher gets shut down. There's not many taunts in a Priest deck, right? No one's really running Defender of Argus anymore.
Right.
So.
I've seen him here and there, but yeah, I would like to see him pitch back Black Knight here. Both these players, of course, though, with Northshire Cleric openings.
Do you match with your own Cleric?
I think you have to.
It's either that or wait till next turn to put out your Dark Cultist.
Well, so when he makes this play, he's playing around he's playing around Smite. He doesn't want his opponent to just crash in his guy and then smite his Northshire Cleric and then have Cleric control the entire game. That's what he's thinking about. Now, that being said, Smite is typically like a one-off card. I'd like to see him play it. He has different plans in mind, though.
Right, it is a one-off card, but it also is a card that he's likely to keep in the early stages of the game.
Yes.
So,
That's true as well.
high likelihood that he might end up wanting to keep it.
Kalento split. Making its appearance. Ysera versus Smite. Which one do you choose?
I go with Ysera most of the times, but that's just because the upside of Ysera is just so high. Especially in this mirror matchup. If you can get Ysera down and force your opponent to mind control first while you have mind control, lock it up.
Yeah. I do have to say that D2's foresight on this matchup here really making a big difference because this Northshire Cleric of Lothar's is not going to draw a card this game.
Yeah, and why did Lothar hold the Power Word Shield? Was it because he was anticipating some other way to use it, whether with Pyromancer perhaps, or did you feel like there's another room that maybe it's like the correct call moment in time? I was a little bit surprised that he just went for a heal pass.
If he holds on to it, yeah, I don't know. If he holds on to it, I think it's strictly because of the Wild Pyromancer, but I mean, is there a benefit to not playing it that early? Like maybe, I guess, silence, but you still draw a card off of it. I don't think you were that worried about it.
Certainly curious.
Yeah.
Now, on D2's end.
Wow, look at this. He's going to smite.
And then he's okay with the Northshire Cleric gaining health and drawing cards.
I guess so.
Huh. Wow, that is really curious.
Yeah, these are some interesting plays. Shadow Word Pain, I forgot that this card was in his deck.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's one way to shut your opponent out of drawing for the rest of the game. Well, not the rest of the game, until you get your next Cleric.
Right. He has to forego development to do it, though, so this is not an easy spot for him.
I mean, you forego development, but it's not like your Cleric will die. Yeah, it's a tough call, actually, the more I think about it. Or maybe you say you don't care if your opponent's drawing cards either. No, you have to care, though. It's a control mirror. Like, you want to make sure that the draws are reduced as much as you can for your opponent.
I would definitely say that most of the time that's true. Is there any merit to using...
The Priest Mirror sometimes is the exception, right? Because you can force your opponent to overdraw with a bunch of heal mechanics.
Yeah, I think it's typically pretty rare, but definitely in the minds of the players, it's at a certain point. Is there any merit to using Shadow Madness here just to kill your opponents?
1/3.
Yeah, because you can kill the 1/3, and the next turn you can play your Cultist and use Shadow Word Pain. And this way, he's sacrificing his Dark Cultist this way. So his guy's gonna be really big in terms of health, but you know how important is that as the game unfolds?
I mean, D2 also can kill the Cleric too. It just requires him to potentially give up his own Dark Cultist, and then it comes down to a default war where your opponent has a stronger minion on the board, which is also something you're concerned about.
Yeah.
This has become very weird.
Yeah, this is a tough position for sure. Yeah, I think I really would have liked to see Shadow Madness last turn. Because the board position would be a 3/3 versus a 1/6. So say your opponent heals up after that to avoid... I mean, I don't know. Let's say they play a second Dark Cultist even. You can still play your own Dark... You can still Shadow Word Pain and play your own Dark Cultist. This is tough.
It's true. Dark Cultist is one of the more common cards.
Yeah, both these players go into the rope early on. Look at this. He's actually just going to choose to draw. So his own Cleric is going to get sacrificed here. Yeah, I have to give the advantage to Lothar after this sequence.
Right, because now Shadow Word Pain is
Oh,
very
look
effective.
at this. And he picks up a Circle of Healing.
How many cards does he want to draw?
Probably all of them.
Draw all the cards. So, what do you think? You think attack with your cleric into his cleric first, and then circle and draw cards, and then kill off his cleric. Oh no, you want to.
Well, his cleric's already damaged at this point, so he can just run his cultist into the 1/3.
Right, I was just thinking about maximizing your cards, but then I forget that your opponent obviously draws cards as well.
Oh, this play's really strong as well. Oh wow! And now he can run this in. He gets the value out of this Death Rattle, and now he can Circle of Healing after this, pick up 2 more cards, and he's got Shadow Word Pain and Cabal Shadow Priest to get by after this. But he doesn't even have to Circle of Healing here. He can still just wait. Like, well, how much of a threat is this? Like, are these dying to your opponent? Like, do you need the 2 cards right now? I don't think you do. Power Word Shield and the Cultist. That's a little odd to me too, because like in the event his opponent has Shadow Mana's back, now he can kill your cleric. So if you're going to use Power Word Shield, you use it on your cleric, so that way you can prevent that play from happening. Still not a very strong position though.
He's got a second cleric. It's fine, I think.
Yeah.
Now that he's reevaluated.
Remember, he drew that though. He didn't know that he had that.
That is also true.
Yeah. And look at this. D2 is forced to hero power and pass. I think you Circle of Healing here.
Circle of Healing.
Yeah, I think you just pick up development.
I was surprised because I thought dropping a Cabal Shadow Priest wouldn't be bad either, because it's a 4/5 body on the board.
You know, Sylvanas could have been on his radar though. This could have been a card he was thinking about.
Sure.
If that's true though, then shouldn't he have healed? No, it wouldn't have mattered. It'd still be at the same health. Wow, tough spots.
Yeah, it hasn't gotten much easier, and you can't sacrifice everything just to kill off the Sylvanas.
I think you're in a similar style position here though. It's sort of the opposite now though. Like, do you want to overdevelop at this point? So that you can make a push through Sylvanas on the swing that it's going to get. You know, the other thing that's funny here too is you can actually, your opponent doesn't have a way to kill their own Sylvanas on your minions. So something that could be in his mind is actually healing his opponent's Sylvanas to keep it from dying.
That is really funny. Funny in the sense where, you know, I'm not, you know, rolling on the floor laughing and my chair constantly goes wheeling away, but more of the fact that it's like a very humorous, awkward situation where it's just perfect for Hearthstone, where it's just, you know, you're trying to be really creative with your Sylvanas plays. He doesn't have a silence too. I wonder if he has silence in his deck. I have to imagine he does.
I think we saw it
one
earlier.
of the staple cards.
He's just going to go straight for the dome. No Circle of Healing, so he's not worried about getting the card for this. So in my mind, if he's saving these Circle of Healings, it's because he wants to use them with Alkali Soul Priest at some point.
Absolutely. I mean, he's not. The other primary use is just to heal up the injured Blade Master. So
yeah. The other thing too is he doesn't want to draw too many cards. Like, maybe he feels like he's drawn enough.
Oh, that's a possibility as well.
Yeah,
because if his opponent forces him to overdraw.
Yeah.
Right. Wait, Lothar is at 9 cards though. So if D2 does heal.
Yeah, like if he had Circle of Healing.
Yeah.
Oh,
he actually would make him overdraw a lot. Wow.
I think it's a pretty fantastic play.
I think you heal too to make him overdraw. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. Silence gets burned. Wow.
Oh, snap.
That is pretty bad news for Lothar.
Oh, man.
This 5/7 Sylvanas is going to be tough to deal with. He doesn't have Shadow Word Death in his hand either.
Well, I guess there's not really much digging you can do, right? Do you have to kill off your own cleric now?
I don't know.
That was a well-spotted play from D2. Again, I like D2 taking his time. He seems to be really calm, making strong plays.
How do you get past the Sylvanas? This is a terror at this point.
With no Shadow or Death, I mean...
Yeah.
You can't match it minion strength either because your opponent could just keep healing her. You know,
D2's
at the same time,
so
are you worried about giving... I was going to ask, are you worried about letting your opponent steal your cleric? You do have
stealing
two
the
circles of
cleric? Not sure, but at this point, he is suiciding his cleric to make sure that he does not draw any more cards.
Right.
Yeah. Not a play you see extremely often.
Oh, God.
So now D2, very favorable position. How does he capitalize on this board position, though? I like Shadow or Death. Just pull your opponent's minion off the board, heal up your own injured Blade Master. This is putting a ton of pressure on your opponent's board now. And you've already seen that he doesn't have Shadow or Death. I'm pretty sure he would have used it instead of playing Harrison Jones. So I think he feels like his Sylvanas is free to continue to take control of this board. And he draws his own Sylvanas.
But he still doesn't have Shadow or Death.
Yeah, I think things just got a little bit crazy.
Yeah. No Death, no Alchemize for clears. How do you even go about this now? Half his hand is useless.
Yeah. You know, obviously he can play Ysera, but what's in the back of his mind, of course, is a Shadow or Death on that Sylvanas and taking that Ysera away.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think Sylvanas is
Oh,
the best
boy.
play.
Yeah, but
it's
of course,
by a
we
long
know
shot.
what happens from here.
Yep. Nevertheless, I think it's the right play.
So from D2's perspective, he's still picking up just any cards that can help continue to press his advantage. Do you feel like stealing the Sylvanas is a foregone conclusion, or is there another play that he should consider?
He definitely should be stealing the Sylvanas. The other thing too is he still has Holy Fire in his hand, so he can Holy Fire that Sylvanas to steal the next minion too.
Oh man, you're right.
Yeah, this is spiraling out of control for Lothar here, and I don't know if it's because he, perhaps may have mismanaged the Circle of Healings. Hawkeye could certainly turn the game around, but he doesn't find it this turn.
Yeah, he's a little frustrated by that, I think.
Yeah.
No Alchemized Soul Priest.
The silence burn was pretty brutal. I think that's really the difference in this matchup so far.
What can you even do here as Lothar? There's no way for you to tackle down everything. You're staring at 12 points of damage. And you're just losing way too much health and board presence.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do something. You're just going to die soon if you don't get this board under control.
Right, but if you use Shadow or Pain on Dark Cultists, just these creatures get stronger. And you don't have mind control either.
You just jam Lothar up in the Sludge Belcher. Just hope for the best. What other real plays does he have? Like, I guess he could play Ysera and hope he draws Ysera Awakens, but I don't even think that's a good play. You're just going to take too much damage.
If your opponent mind controls, that's just the game right there.
Right. It looks to me like he's got some sort of weird plan to clear the board, but...
Okay. Oh, yep. He's got Holy Nova. Does Shadow or Pain actually do anything? No! Holy Nova actually... Oh, the Holy Nova actually killed off the Dark Cultist, so... Shadow or Pain wasn't used there.
Yeah.
Alright. I guess that was okay. 15 damage right now.
Yeah. This looks like a pretty clear Holy Nova turn. 14
damage, excuse me.
He's holding over and continue to pressure. But your opponent is obviously desperate after this play.
This board is just still so intimidating to deal with. And he used one Circle of Healing, so Akanai Soul Priest with the Circle of Healing has really reduced his chances of being able to come back effectively on the board.
Look, he's going to press his advantage too. I cannot disagree. This is a lot of damage and a really bad position for Lothar. I don't know what he needs, but he needs it this turn. Holy fire. 1 point off of killing that Sylvanas.
That silence has been the difference maker. Whoa. Sylvanas has been how long? How long she's been out now?
Oh, is that,
3-4 turns?
He's had a Sylvanas on the board since turn 6.
Oh, man.
I mean, I think he's just got a Sludge Belcher and hope to stem the damage. I don't see a true recovery here, but this is definitely an opportunity for him if his opponent doesn't have Black Knight. I mean, we can see his Black Knight, so I mean, this is like checkmate. But
yeah,
outside of the Black Knight, his hope is that Sylvanas will get healed back to 5 health and he can Holy Fire it and hope to manage to keep the board under control at that point.
You can't really pass up a Black Knight opportunity.
Yeah,
this is what this is for. He kept this as the beginning for this moment.
And I think he's trying to make sure he's not missing lethal here, like some obscure way.
Well, Lothar, a little upset with how things have gone. He's going to be down 2-0 in this series, barring a huge draw at the moment that we're not anticipating.
Yeah, I mean, this is like. Not even Deathwing will get him out of this. I don't think there's any combination. Stolen. Yeah, there's no combination that pulls him out of this point, I don't think.
I think if he still drew Akanai Soul Priest, there was a possibility, but
yeah,
I don't think so.
Really rough. I don't really see it happening. Anyways, D2 is going to take a 2-0 lead, and both of these players having a lot of difficulty managing these first couple of turns. It's tough to kind of foresee how it's going to unfold because you really got to think about how your opponent's range lines up. Some of these plays, they look like they're really obvious, but they're really not. Your opponent's got a lot of counterplay to everything you're doing, and you're trying to maintain control. You don't want to draw too many cards, but you don't want to draw not enough cards. You don't want your opponent to draw not enough cards. Like, how many cards is too many for your opponent? Is he going to Shadow Madness and kind of blow me out of the water? Does he have something to turn the matchup on his head? Like, what if he just drops Akanai Soul Priest, etc., etc.? Like, this matchup is extremely difficult in my experience, and it's why I think it's one of the reasons why Gara wins so much in this matchup is because, like you said, he's a Priest specialist, and there's just not a lot of people out there who have that many games on Priest, especially at that high of a level. So these first couple of turns, crucial for setting the pace of the game, and D2 just happening to be the better of this one.
And an important one indeed, because now D2 has 3 chances to snipe this Hunter deck. And I feel like D2 has a lineup that's very well equipped to take out a Hunter deck. Yes. He's got Sludge Belchers in his own Hunter. He's got Warrior, which is great because of the life gain and the ability to fight off while still being able to stay alive. And then Priest has such great starts against Hunter, as we already saw in a previous series. So I feel like D2 looks like he's going to be in prime position to advance to play Forsen in the Winners Finals.
I think he's got 2 favorable matchups and then one that's even. D2 is going to be switching again, so I imagine this is going to be Hunter. Mm-hmm. It may be really late for him, so he's just going to try to close it out and go with the Warrior.
Sure.
Because again, he's playing from Japan, so the time there it's extremely late, and even if he wins this match, he's got another match to play.
It's like 5 or 6 a.m. for him.
Yeah, I mean, all of those things coming into account. So D2 is going to switch. We're going to get right into game number 3. D2 has a 2-0 lead over Lothar, and he's going to swap decks. Lothar on the back foot with Hunter. But if there's a deck that can 3-0, other than Miracle Rogue, I think it's Hunter. Hunter can just get those draws where it's like Undertaker, 56 Death Rattle minions, kill you.
That's right, because then the Undertaker becomes a 56, 57.
Yeah, which is really big. I don't know if you've ever fought against
sounds balanced to me, but that's why
Lightspawn Arena decks.
That's true. That's why I start running big GHs now to counter the Undertakers.
It always gets to 7 power. Yeah, D2 going Hunter straight away. I like this lead too. Try to win your mirror match. Scale backwards. Try to use your worst decks in your lineup before you use your better ones. If for no other reason, just a confidence issue, you want to be having strong leads the whole way through. And Lothar, we actually saw Cult Master in his opening hand. He mulliganed it away. Picked up a much better card in the meantime with Houndmaster.
Is that a shots fired against Cult Master, or?
Yeah, I think Cult Master is a trash card. I really do.
Oh man. Well, I won't stand in the way of that one. I'll let you just pass on by. Haunted Creeper is one of his better responses, especially since he does have Hunter's Mark to fight back if this Undertaker gets out of control.
Yep. This is just going to be straight for the face, too. There's no reason for Lothar to attack this Haunted Creeper.
Well, I guess you had to take care of the Undertaker immediately.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe not.
Well, he's thinking about it.
Yeah, I think maybe something that he might be considering is, can he get his opponent to like commit to the board in a weird position? But you're going to pay so much life if you try to do that.
Right. We've seen in the past already. Was it D2 series, where if you're just too far behind in health, you're going to put yourself in a bad position.
Yep. 2 leopard gnomes, but goodness, looks bad.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee that he'll have Houndmaster value either, which often can be a big factor in swinging this matchup. Having a Houndmaster with taunt and putting out those stats, and assuming your opponent doesn't have Black Knight.
Yeah, I think D2 is gonna. I think he's very likely to burn this flare here. He doesn't have a turn 4 play, and he doesn't have a play this turn, so Loot Hoarder likely going to pick up a card. Let's see what he has. If that doesn't get anything valuable, I would expect Flare to get burned.
So you don't think trading first would be the preferable thing to do?
Yeah, I think you should. I think you should Loot Hoarder first to see if, like, if you pick up an Animal Companion here. Obviously, that's the best. It's probably one of the best options you can get. Wow, I'm very surprised by that.
All right, saving is Flare. Yeah. I like it personally because I think shutting down the traps is really important for the tempo gain.
I think shutting down that beast is more important. You put more power on your opponent's board, but I mean, this is the turn you're trying to prevent, is a Houndmaster turn. And I would be astonished if Lothar chose to go past that one.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes the most sense to me here. And of course, making sure that he hedges bets against the weapon.
Yeah. Hunter's Mark 2, he's already seen a Hunter's Mark, so he doesn't necessarily want that to be in his opponent's range either.
So Lothar can now start pushing in a lot of damage. Ooh, he's got this Exotic Swamp.
Oh, he's got Ooze
can be a big impact.
In his Hunter deck. I think he's got Weapon Destruction in all of his decks.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
If it's popular in metagame, it's great.
Yeah. This is an example of trying to exploit your opponent's tendencies. If you think that all of your opponents are playing weapons, why not? Lothar, I cannot disagree with this one. And a lot of damage coming across the board to D2 now. He's thinking about the same thing, though. Like, should I prevent this from being able to get Houndmastered? And I think in this position, I would like to see the 4 damage instead.
What's the worst case scenario? If your opponent does have Houndmaster, then he trades in, then you lose the damage slightly anyways. No, but then you still have the tokens, right?
Yeah, if your opponent Houndmasters and then crashes into your 3/1, it's taking 3 damage, so you can just respond with a token. So the worst case scenario is that you end up in this exact same spot, except you've dealt 4 extra damage.
What? So
wow,
he's
got
Harrison
and Harrison Jones.
Am I missing
that is something. Lothar is really hedging his bets against weapons. The only thing I can think of that Lothar is trying to do here is to reduce the effect from Unleash the Hounds, which if he's going to do that, I think there's the consistency with that game plan would be to not play these 1 health minions. And since you have an Harrison Jones in your hand, I think you just slam Ooze down if you're going to do that. You're not going to kill 2 bows. It's just
No,
not going to work.
you're not going to kill 2 weapons.
All right, so I don't understand this game plan. If he wants to hedge his bets versus Unleash the Hounds, but then extend back into Unleash the Hounds, I think it's just an oversight. Oh my gosh.
You might catch 1 bow. Might, though. I mean, I'm not sure if Eagle Horn bow is the right answer right now.
The 1 bow combo.
This guy.
Freezing Trap feels awful here. Savannah Highmane feels awful here. I think that, oh my gosh. I think this is just game, I think.
12, 14 damage on the flip side.
Yeah, you just go for face and then hero power, I think, and just pass. Like, you're not going to take 24 on the backswing. Ever. What could he do to deal 24 damage? There's even a combination of cards that deal 24 damage in this spot.
For 7 mana? No. There's no way. Kill commands are your best way to amplify your damage, but even
you could have
if he had
7
2
arcane shots. It wouldn't be enough.
7? Oh, we're playing that game. He could have 24 Moonfires. He gets King Mukla. Alright.
I think Mukla's a fine play.
Swap Ooze.
Ooze or lose. Hero power. He's going to not use Mukla. Wait. Nope.
You better use King Mukla.
Yeah, he's gonna...
I think he's got it right. Nice. Well played, sir. You are an excellent King Mukla.
Thanks.
D2 needs explosive trap.
Well, unfortunately, it's not showing up this turn no matter what, and that is basically the concession.
Yes,
Not
and
quite
Lothar is going to
suicide.
stay in it.
Yep. Lothar, really crucial win there. Exposing the Ooze, but he doesn't expose Harrison. That's actually a pretty important factor. And D2's, that's something for him to think about now. I think after you see the Ooze, I still think you go Warrior. But, you know, again, something to think about. Lothar really hedging his bets against this matchup too, by the way. 2 weapon destruction cards versus the class that you anticipate is your worst matchup, which is Warrior.
Well, it's not like he has a choice right now. He's just stuck on his Hunter no matter what things go.
Sure.
Interesting that he also chooses to use both of these, considering that D2 doesn't have Shaman at all. And, you know, having the weapon destruction can be really important, especially against Shaman. And also the fact that you're suggesting the Warrior, which I feel like it's still a time where maybe you want to conceal information because you never know. Like, again, it's like another opportunity where Lothar was playing 1 weapon destruction, we knew that. But does he play 2 of them? That's valuable information that D2 might want to conceal. Depends on how he's viewing the experience.
Sure.
I understand the concept of taking your time and ramping up the bosses, so to speak, but
yeah.
Well, he's gonna go with Warrior immediately. I feel like this was one of his better counters, anyways.
Yep.
Warrior against Hunter feels really strong option at the moment.
I think the Ooze might. I really think the Ooze is the difference here. Like, maybe he just feels that Priest is a stronger matchup too. That's definitely
Harrison
Jones'
Jones.
mind. Is he gonna keep this Harrison Jones? Oh,
he can have his
my
cake
goodness.
and eat it too.
D2 really having trouble mulliganing this execute. Wow, he's gonna keep it.
No Fiery War Axe for the Undertaker.
Yep.
Still has 2 chances.
That is certainly. Wow, he draws Fiery
go.
Wind Axe straight away.
No problem.
Execute was certainly kept as an answer to Undertaker, and he's picked up an even better one.
D2 definitely nodding in approval for that one. I can guarantee you that.
Oh yeah, that's the start you definitely want to see when you have the Fiery Wind Axe. Just a lonely web spinner.
From here, though, it doesn't seem like Lothar has a follow-up play for a couple turns. That could be pretty bad.
Yep.
Although, at least you can silence the Acolyte if it comes down here.
Oh gosh, he picks up a second Acolyte too. Even silencing the Acolyte doesn't feel very good. Because it's still a 1-3, like it's still going to start picking away at your opponent's board. Wow, is he going to be forced to Hunter's Mark this?
We'll see if he picks up a pretty decent beast.
I actually, I would have liked to see him, I would have liked to see him silence it and then Hunter's Mark it. I know that's a lot of stuff to invest into that, but this is already such a bad matchup. Your opponent's already had such a strong start. I think you want to try to deny him cards and hope his hand's just full of big minions. River Acropolis, not so dangerous today. Saves the owl, though. Utility of this owl can really make a difference here.
Silencing the Armor Smith.
Yeah, but I don't know how much difference it's going to make. It's still, like, he's just going to lose all his minions in order, and then D2 has basically fully recovered the board.
And he's got ways to remove and draw cards. And gain health.
Yeah, I like Houndmaster, actually. I mean, it's really kind of gross to not get value out of this guy, but this does contest your opponent's board. And I think he wants to save Owl for something. Like, he probably wants to save it for Sludge Belcher, in all honesty.
It makes the most sense to me.
God, look at this.
You can pick up really big time plays here. Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
I would have really liked to see him attack that Houndmaster.
Cashing on the value.
Yeah, well, because here's the other thing, too, is that now your opponent gets to dictate how the Houndmaster is going to work. Like, because they just attack it into your guy. I mean, I guess you pick up some more cards this way. I don't know. I don't think you do. I think you should just go for it. Just rip it. Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins.
I like the, drawing more cards and being able, and you still can kill off the Houndmaster without giving up other things, like you have your Execute. Perhaps he's really afraid of the incoming high mains.
Well, I was just going to use the Armor Smith.
Oh, you trading your Armor Smith immediately?
Yeah, I think you just ram the Ghoul into his Houndmaster. You draw a card, you get 3 armor. You use the Ghoul. I'm sorry, you use the Armor Smith. You get another point of armor. Your Houndmaster's clear. And all you have is an Acolyte of Pain on the board, but that's a pretty big difference.
All right. Well, he's going to kill command the Acolyte to deny draws. Power moves from Lothar, but he's giving up so much of his ability to finish the game by using those burst cards.
Yep. This has got to be Lothar, right? Yeah. So Savannah High Mom definitely going to hit the board here, I think. But I'm not too excited about it. Lothar's got a Houndmaster, by the way. So this, like, a second high main here could really be a big difference. Those tokens going to be doing a lot of work. Hasn't dealt much damage, though. That's the major issue. Oh, and Sludge Belcher gets picked up.
I think D2 is just picking up all the right answers. And Sludge Belcher will stop a lot of the damage that Hunter can do. It's just such a problematic card because Eaglehorn Bow needs 3 attacks to get through it.
So he's got a second Ironbeak Owl even, but it's like, is that going to be enough to fend off this entire board position? I still think it is. Like, if you owl the Sludge Belcher, and then you Houndmaster one of the tokens, use your 2/2 token on the 1/1, so that way he can't pick off your 4/4. That's not a bad position, I don't think. You get some damage in, you develop your board really heavily. I mean, you can't play around Brawl, I don't think. I think if you play around Brawl at this point, you're just losing too much.
Yeah, sure, it makes sense. There is a Kodo, by the way. Kodo making a comeback in Hunter. I like it. I wonder if the actions from D2 was because he knew a Kodo was involved potentially in the past. Yeah, I think why he chose not to.
Yep, I like the sequence. A lot of pressure, but God, still so many good answers. Like, you could even use Grommash here. Grommash is going to be left with 5 health after this attack. You take out his Houndmaster, and he's only got 4 power on the board. I think at this point, this is fine. So, like, he's going to sacrifice his Grommash sometimes here to, like, either a Hunter's Mark or a Kill Command or what have you. But you've just restricted so much of your opponent's damage at that point. Like, one kill command's already out of the way. You've seen both your opponent's silences. You have 2 shield blocks and a Ragnaros in your hand. I think you just have the gas to continue to run your opponent over.
Yeah, they've also used Hunter's Mark. How are they supposed to deal with Ragnaros?
Yeah.
Is he running even 2 Hunter's Marks? He still has to deal with Grommash this way. I think you nailed it there. It's very difficult for the Hunter to end this game without taking so much pressure from cards like Ragnaros and life gain.
I don't even think you attack the Sludge Belcher here. I think you just go for face.
That's the only way he can win, right?
Yeah, I think you just really hope this damage adds up to enough.
The good old ladder hunter strategy. Hope this is enough damage. Oh, okay. It is.
Chooses to trade it off.
I am not salty at all.
And again, Grommash is going to continue to, I think, to just run over this board position. Just going to be getting a 3-for-1. I think it's just
Ragnaros down.
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh wow, he's going for face too.
To the face.
I mean, how can you do it? It is 10 damage, so
sure.
I mean, that's just so much. Lothar left with Harrison in hand. It's just stranded there. Second kill command gets picked up, but now it's like, do I kill the Ragnaros or do I kill the Grommash?
Do you really have to choose between either of those? Ragnaros is just like, you can't deal with Rag any other way if you give up this. You need a second Hunter's Mark if you're even running it. But then Grommash, like, you might die if he just has Faceless Manipulator next turn, like if he draws that.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, you're guaranteed to die.
Yeah. I think you just got to risk it though. I mean, you don't have longevity at this point. I'm fine with kill commanding the Grommash too, because the Ragnaros can still just hit the wrong target every turn in a row.
True.
Oh, it feels so gross to play that Harrison Jones and the Ooze and get no value in a weapon matchup. Oh, and there's Shield Slam.
Yikes. He's got Shield Slam.
And then he draws the weapon.
Gorhal. That's hilarious. Oh my god, Gorhal. Gorhal has somehow eluded both the Ooze and Harrison Jones.
Cruel Taskmaster, so he can even execute if he wants to.
He's gonna smite down this Harrison with the force of 1,000 suns. Wow.
Also the force of 1,000 Ragnaros, which is gonna kill Lothar's last card. Down to hero powers. Leper Gnome, not enough.
That's it.
D2 taking this series 3-1. Fantastic swaps from him, and his lineup really going the distance in what I would consider a pretty close lineup matchup overall. I think he played every game except the Priest game. I think he played extremely well. I think both the players made a lot of mistakes early in the Priest game. Just a lot of unfamiliarity and like clouded vision on how to see the turns unfold. But that's a difficult thing to do. You have to consider so much from your opponent's range. It's just one of those spots where you kind of have to pick a line and hope for the best.
Yeah, I think so. I think D2 played well. And now he's in the winners finals against Forsen, which will be our last match of